All right, here we are. So we are live right now, and the thing is that I think that I missed the 1-4 the other day. So whoever thinks that this is the 2-4, we're going to start with the 1-4 first, okay? I think I missed it somehow. So here we go, the 1-4. Remember, this is so much about upbringing. The 1-4 child is simply going to bring details to the story of its own law, the law that it inherits from its family. So there are certain rules in the house. For example, the rule is to take your shoes off when you come in. So this is the kind of child that will never question that. They will always take their shoes off. They will point out to others when they haven't. This will be their way. Now remember, something that when somebody asks you when we should take off their shoes, and remember we're dealing with an articulated metaphoric throat gate, a gate that says I believe, that one of the most important things for us that the 56th child is to be able to tell a story of why. You can't explain it in the detail. Well, you could have been walking out there and stepped into some dog stuff and don't want you bringing that into the house. It's a little story. And those little stories are their ways of bringing out the detail, making sense out of something. They're not trying to prove anything. It's not like saying because of that you have dirt on your shoes. Simply saying, look, if you walk outside, the chances are you can get something. We don't want that in the house. You tell your little story. These are throat children anyway. You have a child on the quarter of civilization and they got their son in a throat gate, articulating, speaking, communicating are things that they have to encourage in them. It's so important for their development to be able to manifest those skills, to be able to manifest the capacity to be able to tell that story, to be able to understand and give others the detail. Okay, that was the 1-4. Now the 2-4. Now the 2-4. This is the 2-4. So it's exactly at 2 minutes. Okay, guys? In 2 minutes, we start with the 2-4. The 2-4 really knows the law. That is, it knows the law within its own realm. You walk into a 2-4 on this cross in their environment, and they will tell you what the laws are. And they will create the laws, very strict laws. They don't move the chair. They're the ones that put signs in the bathroom about what you should do with the toilet seat. They're going to make sure that every aspect of your stepping into their environment is substantiated by law. What's interesting about them is that the potential of awakening, like all 2-4s, how powerful they can be. And remember, this power is being able to influence a cell or penta, to be able to establish a collective sense. After all, this is a gate of believing. It's a gate of belief system. And it's a 2-4 based on its own natural law that can transform those groups around them and then transform their approach to what they should be done. Remember that the law is deeply mutative. Look at this configuration. You have a 360. It's a channel of mutation. One of the things that is so clear that the 2-4 and the 2-5 bring out is so quickly is the recognition that things change, that laws can never be truly fixed in stone, that all laws ultimately are malleable, that all laws ultimately change because conditions change. There's always going to change. What was the law 1,000 years ago? In most cases, does not apply today. We have different conditions. We have different ways of dealing with inherent aberrant behavior, criminal behavior. Then we go to the 2-5. 2-5, no more natural place for a 5 than to be associated with law, because 5s are so deeply paranoid. And one of the things that will make them paranoid is obviously their demarcations in the sand that says you can't cross this line. It will make them very paranoid because if they do cross that line, they're constantly going to be paranoid about the consequences of actually crossing that line. One of the things that is so interesting about the 2-4 and the 2-5 is that they know how to break the law. And what I mean by that is that not simply that they're criminal because they don't mean to place all of them on this cross with this configuration in that category. It would be nice. It's not that. They just have a way of, sort of sneaking around, tax loopholes and stuff like that. Finding ways where you can just skirt along the edge of the law. You don't really break it. You don't really bend it. You kind of just slide around it. The 2-5s are great in that. The 2-5s are great at doing things in their own space that defy certain laws. And remember, when I speak of laws, I'm speaking of the laws. I'm not speaking about governmental laws that are on the books. I'm talking about social rules. I'm talking about all these various things that are here. They will defy all of those things in one way or another in the privacy of their realm. They're also the ones that you can call them out and will scream the loudest about. There ought to be a law. There ought to be a law against freaks like that. There ought to be a law against people like that. There ought to be a law. They're great at that. There ought to be a law. And of course, the only things they want laws for are things that keeping people away from the door and stop making trouble for them. The things that they don't like to see in their paranoia and the things that frighten them. And then they're also the ones that say there ought to be a law, but a different one from this one. Let's change the law. Let's have a new law, guys. Come on. We have another law.